This is going to be one of the best games we've ever seen. Two of the best quarterbacks that just gave us two of the best seasons.
Inject this game right smack dab in the mile. I want every bit of it.
One guy had 0 offers out of high school. The other was told to play receiver. How did we get here?
There's been a lot of doubt going on. Me being a running back, receiver, I feel I should have a chance at quarterback.
I was begging teams to, give me a scholarship. If you knew who I was 3 years ago, I don't think you would say this is possible.
The Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen. Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that.
Thank you to the Bills organization. I'm gonna make them look like they're the smartest people out there.
This is just unfathomable. This is a loss that sticks with a franchise forever.
Tremendous disappointment in the postseason for Lamar Jackson on an MVP evening.
I need the naysayers to keep going, keep adding fuel to that fire for me to keep being Lamar Jackson.
It's a funny thing how things work out. Not getting offered motivates you to play a little better, play a little harder.
Oh, my goodness!
A Josh Allen explosion. Lamar Jackson does it again.
We are witnessing something special.
We judge MVP based on our eyes and how we feel.
I hate how this conversation has just turned ugly. Both have had elite seasons.
Enough talk about who's the best. Everyone has been looking forward to this one.
You couldn't ask for anything more. This is going to be played at the highest possible level.
Two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
One of those rare moments when two living legends collide.
This is the 5th head-to-head matchup between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen as starting quarterbacks. Series tied 2-2. Ravens won the last meeting when they hammered the Bills in Week 4. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. First ever playoff matchup between quarterbacks with 40 or more touchdowns and fewer than 10 turnovers in the regular season. It's going to be theater. Welcome in two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden. The game of the weekend takes us to Western New York. Top 2 MVP candidates clashing for a spot in the AFC title game. The difference in their Week 4 game, the ground game.
Yeah.
The Bills could not stop 22. Derrick Henry scored on Baltimore's first play from scrimmage. B-Mac, will this once again be the matchup that decides this game?
Yes, sir, I do believe so. When you look at the success, the Baltimore Ravens had the first meeting with Derrick Henry. He just dominated that ball game. And when he got things rolling, that made life easy for Lamar Jackson. That made life easy for the passing game, and that established a sense of balance. That's the matchup. So when you look at Derrick Henry, will the Buffalo Bills have more success, be better against the ground and pound attack led by Derrick Henry? Because if you look at the mentality from the Baltimore Ravens and how they finished the regular season out and what they did last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 1, they want to run the football. Now, Hakeem, one luxury for the Buffalo Bills. You look at their first meeting. Buffalo defensively did not have their quarterback in Matt Milano. Teron Johnson wasn't there. Terrell Bernard, those guys were inactive. They're back in the saddle. And with all 3 of those guys in the lineup for their defense, collectively speaking, they're a better unit. So hopefully having those guys back in place can help slow down the running game led by Derrick Henry for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, you got to tackle him. I mean, he's going to have probably Vaseline on his arms, right, in the cold.
It's going to be cold, yeah.
Right, so they're going to have to wrap him up. And they,
you got to swarm to the football.
I don't know who's going to be able to do that. We'll see. I hope so. Bills are playing their first game as a home underdog since Week 17 of the 2020 season. Will the dogs be barking in Buffalo?
I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens, Hakeem.
Okay, so the dogs won't be barking.
They will not be barking, and if they do bark, I don't think anybody will hear it. And the reason why I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens, when you look at just their style of play, and you look at the success, even though, when you look at Buffalo having a full arsenal to work with defensively with the personnel, I still believe Derrick Henry might be too much. And then when you factor in Lamar Jackson has been outstanding. We look at how they utilized Lamar Jackson last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got him heavily involved in the running game. Todd Monken will not be criticized for not having Lamar Jackson run. Remember, that was an issue in the AFC Championship game a year ago versus the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson not becoming a playmaker with the football in his hands. They understand when he is a playmaker with the football in his hands, they're better offensively. So I believe that will be the best mindset to attack Buffalo with, and that might be a bit too much. And I know Josh Allen will make his plays, but when you look at what Baltimore has been doing, I believe that momentum, their success will carry on to be enough to be able to win this ball game.
You made a bold statement earlier this week about 0 offensive touchdowns in this game. Your mentions are getting flooded. Do you still think that could happen, or were you just playing along with the segment?
I was honestly, they're going to be points scored. Being a former defender, I don't want to see what we're seeing with Detroit and Washington because I love defense. But, of course, I was playing along. It was a bold statement. But I can tell you this much. If it happens to happen, you know what? I would be the ultimate professional and won't say anything in terms of the receipts that I had to keep.
You're not going to say, I told you.
No.
You're not going to do that.
In the words of the great late Bobby Bowden, act like you've been there before.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that. But I also like letting people know when you're right.
Sometimes you do.
You know, sometimes you got to. By the way, there's no odds for no offensive touchdowns because there's really no chance.
No chance, no question. That's why I was overly bold.
First game, I like bold. I like the first game, too, as well on Sunday in Philadelphia. And just like the Ravens-Bills first matchup, one player dominated on the ground.
Yes.
Saquon Barkley ran wild, setting an Eagles franchise record, 255 yards in Philly's Week 12 win over L.A. So, B-Mac, in terms of the matchup to watch, is it rinse and repeat?
You better believe it, because if they can't slow down number 26, they won't have a chance. I mean, he dominated that ball game. And think about the first meeting, Hakeem. We see the final stat line for Saquon Barkley, but outside of those two explosive plays, runs, they did a pretty good job in kind of slowing them down. But that's the thing, when you're playing against a guy like Saquon Barkley, you have to be sound in your run support and your gap integrity for 4 quarters, because you can have him bottled up for a half, for 3 quarters, and then he just needs a glimmer of hope in the 4th quarter to reel off a 5-yard run and make it a 60 or 70-yard run. So that is the matchup that I'm watching, because I can tell you this much. The defensive front for the Los Angeles Rams, they're playing with a lot of confidence. You saw how they got after the Minnesota Vikings. You saw how they made things difficult for them in throwing the football and running the football. So they're coming into Philly believing they can get the job done. But can they do so, Hakeem, for 4 quarters? Because if they do not, Saquon is going to have a career-like day once again. And if he put forth those numbers up, you better believe that would be enough for them to win a ball game.
Eagles are 6.5-point favorites, and keep this in mind, there's rain and snow in the forecast in Philadelphia on Sunday. Matthew Stafford with rain or snow at time of kickoff, 1-8 in his career. 1-8, it's not good. How can you not back the Eagles in this spot?
Well, see, that's his thing. He's 1-8 in those conditions, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't say he's 1-8 in terms of covering.
No, it doesn't.
Those are 2 different things, right? Winning straight up and covering the spread, 2 different things.
Yes,
so
sir.
in terms of getting 6.5, and to your point, that's a key nugget when you look at this ball game. It could be sloppy, it could be snowy, it could be rain. The traction on the field might not be as best as they would like for it to be, and that could make points come at a premium. So I'm taking the team that's getting points, because to your point, Matthew Stafford hasn't done well, but in terms of being able to be prepared, Sean McVay will have his guys prepared. I'm not saying that I believe the Rams, they will win this ball game, but I do believe if you're talking about 6.5 in those potential conditions that we will see in Philly, I think that's the best route to go, because before the game is kicked off, guess what? The Rams already got 6.5 points on the scoreboard.
Well, if you're feeling a little frisky, Rams plus 240 on the money line.
Money line,
so
sprinkle
if you feel like a straight-up win, and Matt Stafford would go to 2-8 with rain and snow at kickoff. We'll see. We'll see about that. B-Mac here on CBS Sports HQ. Start your day, end your day with CBS and CBS Sports HQ. Ravens and Bills, 6:30 Eastern on America's most watched network, the Network of Stars. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage for every playoff game all the way to the Super Bowl right here on CBS Sports HQ.